Alright everyone, this is Pedram, and in this video I want to talk about Google Colab tricks. So let's continue our journey. Well, last time we saw how can we open this Google Colab Jumpstart from my GitHub repository, and how can we make a copy on our own drive. And basically we made another notebook called Basics, and we go over the basics of Google Colab. Now let's go ahead and make a new file, call it tricks, and save it in our own Google Drive. So new notebook. I'm gonna go ahead and rename it tricks. And now when I go back to my Google Drive, this tricks should show up there. Okay, right now it's untitled, but as soon as it gets, well, let me go ahead and connect it. Okay, now we are connected. Now it should get updated when this is saved, right? So I can go ahead and save it. Okay, now it is tricks now. Okay, so well, if you click on this little thing here, there's this table of content for the Google Colab Jumpstart. Basically, what I want to cover in this video are these things. I want to quickly show you where you can find the keyboard shortcuts. Then we will talk about importing a library which is not already installed in Google Colab. We talk about how we load and save data from external resources and how we can mount on our Google Drive, and finally how we can open files from GitHub. So let's start from the very first one, keyboard shortcuts. Well, if you want to get access to the shortcuts, go to the tools and then click on keyboard shortcuts. And as you can see, there are dozens of shortcuts here that you can use. Well, basically you don't need to memorize all of them, but I don't know, usually I personally have, I think, tens of them memorized, which is going to speed up my coding. So I will leave it up to you. Just explore this list and see whatever fits your need better. All right. Then now let's talk about importing a library that is not already in Colab, right? So the cool thing of working with Google Colab is there are so many libraries already available. So for example, you have access to NumPy, Pandas, Seaborn, Matplotlib, and even more advanced frameworks like TensorFlow or PyTorch. So all these library has already built in the Google Colab. You don't need to install them. But of course, there are some libraries that you need to install them. So for example, one of them is the scikit-learn package, which we're going to use extensively for machine learning. So if you want to start from scratch, basically you open a Google page and say, okay, install scikit-learn, right? And just open the documentation of that package that you're interested in and see what is the general steps for installing that package on your computer, right? So for example, I'm on a Windows machine. I'm going to use the pip command, and I'll get something like this: pip install -u scikit-learn, right? So this is what you need to copy. And then you go back to your Google Colab and imagine I want to install this package here. You have to use this exclamation mark first and then start typing in your command. So if I do exclamation pip install -u scikit-learn and press run, it's going to go ahead and install this package for me. Now when the package is installed, I can get access to all the modules from that package. For example, now that the scikit-learn package has been installed, I can go ahead and import some of the modules and classes from this machine learning package. Let's go ahead and make a new cell, and I can say from scikit-learn import, let's say for example we want to import the linear model module, and run this cell. Now I have access to all the classes inside the linear model. So for example, I can get access to the logistic regression class, right? And remember, if I hover over the name of the class, there's this documentation here. I can open it in a new tab as well, because I can get access to the documentation a lot easier like this. I'll continue on coding and I see the documentation on the right hand side. I can also look at the source code, right? So if I click on this view source, I will see what is inside this logistic regression class. So basically I can see all the details of the available features inside this class. So this is very cool. All right, now going back, This is basically how we import the library, which is not already installed in Google Colab, right? To see more examples, you can check out the Colab documentation itself. Okay, next let's talk about loading and saving data from some external sources. Starting with uploading files. So in order to upload files from your local system to your cloud, you have to use this function, files.upload. So first we have to import this module, and then from that module for uploading, we're going to use import function. For downloading, we're going to use download function. So let's go ahead and see how it's done. I'm going to copy this cell and paste it here. Let me go ahead and close this documentation. Make a new cell. Let's go ahead and make a new cell, and I'm gonna paste it here. And pay attention, right now, if you click on this thing here, go to the folders. Right now, the Google Colab comes with a sample data already mounted to your cloud. So there's some sample data, basically some sandbox data sets for you to play with. And beside that, nothing else is in this folder, right? So if I go ahead and let's say upload something from my local drive, I have to say from Google.Colab import files module, and I'm going to say upload is equal to files.upload. If I run this cell, it's going to ask me, okay, choose files from your local drive, right? Of course, you can cancel this upload too. I'm going to go ahead and choose files. So imagine I go to my GitHub account, the machine learning folder, data folder, and I'm going to go ahead and upload the wage data set. So this is a very tiny data set that we're going to work with in our machine learning course. Let's go ahead and open it. You see, as soon as I upload this thing, if I go ahead here and press refresh, the wage data set is now uploaded on the Google Colab cloud. This means that I can get access to this data set now. I can double click on it to see what is inside here. So this is a data set, or I can even make let's go ahead and make a data frame. I'm going to say import pandas as PD. And as I said before, the panda already comes with Google Colab. You don't need to install it separately. And I'm going to make a new data frame and call it df, say pd.readcsv. If you just remember, guys, if you do control space, it's gonna help you with the auto completion. And then here I just need to give the file path that I just uploaded. So now the file path is, because this is in the root, I'm gonna say go ahead and upload it right away. Again, if I do control space, it's gonna give me some suggestion. Okay. Now this is my data frame, and I can look at the head of that data frame. Okay, so this is my wage dataset data frame. And here's another cool feature in Google Colab. You can play around with this data frame interactively using some filters by clicking on this little thing. It converts the data frame to an interactive table. So if I click on it, now I have an interactive table. So I can say, okay, show me the first 10, show me 10 per page, and then I can filter. So for example, I can say, I don't know, if wage, what is this hour wage? If hour, let's look at the hours. If hours is greater than, let's say between 45 and 50. And as you can see, this is gonna be the only one that's shown there. And yeah, and if you wanna close this thing, you can simply run it again. And now you have your basic data frame. Okay, so that's how you wanted to upload a file. How can we download? We have to use from the same module files. We should simply use files.download. So if I go ahead and type something like this, as simple as this, files.downloads, right? Imagine you made some changes to this wage data set and now you want to download it. So you do file.download, and then again you have to give it the path. So the path here is wage.csv. If I run this cell, it's going to go ahead and download it on my local computer after I made some changes, for example, in it to that. Okay, before going to the how to mount your Google Drive, I need to show you something here. Well, and that's the files that you have uploaded to the cloud from your local computer are going to be there as long as you keep this notebook open. So if you close the notebook and open it again, these files are going to be gone. Actually, this one file that we uploaded is going to be gone. And also, if you terminate this session and make a new session by reconnecting, the file is going to be gone. Let me show you what it means. So if I go here and click on Manage Sessions, so right now I have 3 sessions open in my Google Cloud notebook, cloud, and this is the RAM used by each of them, right? So these are the ones that we already have open, and this is, sorry, these two, and this is what we just created, right? If I go ahead and terminate this session, see what will happen to this wage.csv. It's gonna be gone. So let me go ahead and terminate. You see, now there's no folder upload here because first of all, we are not connected anymore. We terminated that session. And if I go ahead and reconnect, only the sample data, which is again built in the Google Colab, is going to show up here. We completely lost the data wage.csv. So be aware that when you're uploading files and working on something, and make sure to save it and download it to your computer before closing the notebook. Otherwise, you're going to lose it. Okay, now let's go see how we can mount our Google Drive. There are different ways to mount your Google Drive to the Google Colab Cloud. And the easiest way is, well, these are more advanced ones if you want to use APIs or basically to use different methods. Here's the documentation. But I'm going to show you the first way, which is mounting your Google Drive in the runtime's virtual machine. So, and this is very, very straightforward. So one way is to just type this thing, from Google Colab, import the Drive module, and from Drive module, use the mount function and give it a name. So for example, you want to name whatever you're mounting, call it contents/drive. So this is one way. Another way is simply go to your notebook and then click on these folder, and then you see this thing, it says mount to drive. If I click on it, it's going to go ahead and ask for permission. I'm going to say, okay, connect to Google Drive, and make sure that you pick the correct Google account that you want to connect it. So I'm going to connect my tutorial account. And it's going to take some time, but after a while you will see that my drive folder is going to show up here. Now this drive is mounted there, right? So without doing anything here, I just click on this drive and then mount it. And of course, if you want to unmount it, you have to simply go ahead and click on this unmount, right? And now when you mount a drive, you have access to all the folders there. Remember, this is our Google Colab folder, Google Drive folder. Now I have Colab Notebooks and PJ Projects. So if I go back, so this is Colab Notebooks, I can get access to all those things, right? And I can go ahead and unmount it. So again, this was the easier way to do that. And of course, you can type these things. You can say, okay, the drive.mount, and then here is the name that you want to give it. And then if you want to unmount your Google Drive, you have to say drive.flush and unmount. All right, and the last thing I want to cover is how you open files from GitHub directly. Okay, there are 2 ways to get access to your GitHub files. One is by cloning the entire repository or a specific branch, and the other one is just calling that a specific file from your GitHub and by using some bash commands. So let me show you how it's done. So imagine you want to clone the entire repository. So if you want to clone a repository, the bash command is git clone, and you have to give it the name of the GitHub repository. So let me show you what do I mean. So if I go to my GitHub account, GitHub, and imagine I want to get access to some of these machine learning repository, right? So here is the link to that. If I click on code and I can copy the link, now I can go back to my tricks notebook and say, exclamation point git clone, and simply give it the name of the the URL of the repository, right? And then at the end of it, you can give it some name, right? So for example, I can call it ML_USU. You can call it whatever, right? So you can call it my ML, whatever. And then if I run this, pay attention what will happen to this folder. So if I run this, it's starting to cloning the entire GitHub repository, the main branch actually. and it's going to load it up here. Now I have access to the main branch. You see the cheat sheets, archive. If I go back to this repository here, we have cheat sheets, archive, and readme, right? Cheat sheets, archive, and readme. If you want to clone in a specific repository, so for a specific branch, so for example, you want to clone the fall 2022 branch, and then you have to do it differently. So the bash command for cloning a specific branch is git clone -b. This stands for branch, and then you have to give the name of the branch and then use the same URL. Okay, so let me show how it's done. So for example, I'm gonna go ahead and say git clone branch. If I do branch or b, just simply b, it's gonna do the job. And you have to use the exact name that's the branch name is. It's fall 2022. And now you use the same link. Let me go ahead and copy this. And I call it my, I don't know, fall 2022 ML. And let's run this. Now it's going to go ahead and only clone that specific branch from the GitHub repository. So let's refresh this. Okay, now it's my fall. And actually, let me go ahead and show you what's there. So in the fall branch, fall 22 branch, we have cheat sheet, lectures, data, the syllabus, and etc. So let's go back. So cheat sheet, lectures, data, syllabus, and etc. All right. And the same thing, if I go ahead and reconnect this or terminate this session and reconnect it, all these things, GitHub folders that are cloned are going to be gone. So just pay attention. So that was the first method. You want access to the, let's say, wage data set. So the first method was something like this. You clone the entire repository. The second method is, what if you only want from the entire repository, you want to get access to this wage data set? How can I do that? So let me show it to you. If I go back to the data folder, and then there's this wage CSV, you need to make sure that you click on this raw thing. Show me the raw URL. You see, this is the raw URL. Let me go back. If you use this URL, well, let me actually show it both ways and see what it will get. If you use this URL, you're gonna get an error. So you have to click on this raw button and then you get a different URL. So let me tell you what I mean. Okay. This is the bash command that we need, wget, and let me copy this. Well, actually, let me show it either way. Let me use the wrong URL first and show you how to. Imagine this is the file that you want to see, the wage data set, the .csv is the file that you want to get direct access to it from Colab. Imagine you copied this URL. Okay. Well, you think that, okay, this should be there, right? The CSV, the wage CSV should be there, but as you can see, we cannot, well, let me show you. Well, let me go ahead and try to show you what is inside this. When I click on it, I'll get an error because we used the wrong URL, right? So you're under impression that, okay, the wage CSV is there and it should be something like this, but in reality, that's not the case, because the way that it's going to import these things is going to be kind of different. So we have to make sure we click on this raw button, and now this is the correct URL. Then copy this URL and then go back, replace it here, run this cell again. Now the wage CSV, if I refresh it, now I should get access to the right. Well, let me see what happened. Let me refresh it one more time. Oh, sorry, it says that I didn't pay attention. It says that the wage.csv is already there. It's not retrieving. So let me go ahead and delete this and import it again. Now, if I refresh and look at the wage data set, I should be able to get access to that. So these are little tricks here and there that's going to make your life a lot easier when you're working with the Jupyter Notebook. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and until the next one, take care.